Hey there, I am Christina Johnson, and if you have any travel plans or vacations or road trips coming up this summer and you want to eat healthy, at least semi-healthy while you're traveling, then this video is for you because I have 4 tried and true recommendations to give you to help you eat healthier while you're on the road. But first, if we haven't met yet, I'm Christina Johnson, a transformational nutrition coach, and I have a private health coaching practice, Christina Johnson Wellness. And I really specialize in helping people create a healthy lifestyle so that they can lose weight and have more energy and just feel better overall so that they can be active and travel and do all those things that they enjoy. And I really believe that part of creating this healthy lifestyle instead of just going on a diet means that you have to figure out how do you eat healthy in situations when you're out of your normal everyday routine. So how do you eat healthy when you're traveling and eating out and on the road? So I feel like this is a really important topic, and I think it's going to be extremely helpful for you if you have any travel plans at all coming up. Which, I'm curious, do you have any travel plans? Will you let me know in the comments if there is a trip that you're planning, whether it's big or small, and let me know where you're going. You may or may not know this about me, but I absolutely love to travel. It's one of my favorite things to do. And my husband and I will take usually a long trip every summer. It's, usually a minimum of a week, but closer to 2 weeks, sometimes even 3 weeks. Throughout the year, we'll also take long weekend trips to different places. We'll take day trips and overnight trips. We'll visit family and friends out of town. So I have had lots of experience traveling and trying to eat healthy because for the past 8 or 9 years, ever since I changed how I ate, it's been a priority to me to eat healthy even when I'm traveling. And so I've just kind of figured out what's worked really well for my husband and I, and we kind of have our system and our routine down now. And I just want to share that with you to hopefully give you some suggestions that you can use yourself, or at least to get you thinking and help you brainstorm some ideas of how you can make this work for you. So let me get started with these 4 tips. If you think this information is going to be helpful for other people, would you also take a second and share this video for me? And we can, or tag somebody, and we can get this information out to more people. Okay, so here is my first recommendation for you. This is just a really good general rule of thumb of how to eat healthy when you're traveling. And that is to plan on eating out only 1 time per day on your vacation. My husband and I have been doing this for years now, and it just works so well. So what we do is we either make food in advance, or we bring some food along, or we stop at a grocery store or do a little bit of cooking wherever we're staying, and we make or have food that we've prepared ourselves for 2 meals of the day. And then the 3rd meal we'll go out to eat. So what a typical day might look like for us is breakfast is really easy to bring along and just eat whatever we make. So we'll sometimes make an egg bake ahead of time, or little egg bake muffins, and we'll reheat those on the trip. Or I've made protein shakes. I've brought along a blender on vacation before and made a protein shake in the morning. We also make things like a sausage hash, where we just take ground sausage and some sweet potatoes, shred it up, and cook that before we leave, and then reheat that for breakfast. So it's pretty easy to find some breakfast options that you can just have in the morning when you're traveling. And then we'll also usually bring along food for lunch. So for example, we will often make salads. We'll either grill some chicken or steak before we leave and dice it up, and then bring some lettuce and chopped vegetables and a salad dressing, and we can make a quick and easy salad. Another common lunch for us would be to make lettuce wraps. So we'll bring along some romaine lettuce leaves, some good quality lunch meat, maybe some cheese, some raw vegetables and hummus or guacamole, and then we have a lunch. So it's pretty easy to find ideas for breakfast and lunch, I've found over the years. It's taken me time, but I figured it out now. And then usually for dinner, we'll go out to eat. And it's usually at a restaurant that I've looked at ahead of time, looked at the menu, and made sure there's some good options. So I really love this strategy of eating out only 1 time a day for multiple reasons. I mean, first of all, I just feel better when I'm not eating out constantly on vacation. And by eating out once a day, I feel like it's still fun, it's still exciting, we're still getting to try new foods and local type of foods. but I'm also eating really healthy options earlier in the day so that I feel good, because I want to feel good and have lots of energy and sleep well on my vacations. So that's one benefit. Another benefit is you can save a lot of money when you're traveling by only eating out once a day. The third reason I love this so much is that it's faster and it takes less stress. Because to be honest, if you're not just going to stop into McDonald's, sometimes it takes a little bit of time and effort to find a healthy restaurant option. And so, for example, if we're out sightseeing during the day or out hiking, I don't want to take time to have to find a healthy restaurant, but instead it's so much easier when I just have a lunch already packed and ready to go for us. So this is probably the biggest kind of mindset that I have when I travel is eat out once and cook 2 times. It works in almost every situation. The one exception maybe would be a cruise. I think, it's a little bit harder, I found, to do this on a cruise, but you can even still make a breakfast on a cruise. But other than that, it's really pretty easy to make this work on most trips. Okay, so let's move on to my second tip for you, and that is to choose your accommodations wisely. So, whenever I'm looking for a place to stay, I am really particular about a few things that I'm looking for. I really prefer, my first choice most of the time would be to stay in an Airbnb, some type of apartment or small house where we'll have a kitchen. Because if there's a kitchen and that's fully stocked with pots and pans and dishes, it is so easy to throw together a quick breakfast in the morning or to get something ready for lunch. And it just makes it so much easier. So that is my first choice on most trips. If, there's certain times where it's just easier to be in a hotel or, for whatever reason. So then what I'll do is I'll look and make sure that hotel has a microwave and a fridge. As a side note, I don't use a microwave at home really ever, but when I'm traveling, that's one of the exceptions I make. So we brought along something for lunch or for breakfast, and then I can just reheat it in the microwave and eat it before we leave for the day. So that's kind of helpful to look for. Another thing when I'm looking for a place to stay, sometimes if I know I'm going to be in one place for a week or so, I'll even look to see, are there any good grocery stores nearby so I can pick up some food when I get there? Or are there any healthy restaurants nearby? So when you're choosing where you're going to stay, just put a little bit of thought into how can you make it easier to eat healthy. Okay, that's my second tip. The third tip then is to pack healthy road trip snacks. This one I think is kind of an obvious one. But again, if you have healthy snacks with you in the car or on the plane or wherever, it's so much easier to make healthy choices. You're less likely to be tempted by those unhealthy options. And if you can have a little bit of a snack to keep you full, then you can maybe kind of be tided over until your next meal a little bit easier. So if you're interested in some healthy snack ideas, I actually put together a list of my top favorite 11 road trip snacks last year. And so if you want me to send you that list, just go to ChristinaJohnsonWellness.com/snacks. And you can just download it instantly and you'll get a list of my top 11 snacks. And then I even included a couple recipes in there for you as well. So be sure to check that out. I'll put the note or the link to that website in the comments as soon as I'm done here. So you can just click on it and go. Okay, my last tip for you is to invest in a few travel supplies. If you have just a few things, it will make it so much easier to eat healthy on the go. So number one, it's probably an obvious one, but is a cooler. And I actually like to have a couple different sizes of coolers. We have a big one that we will use on longer trips, and we fill that full. For like an overnight trip or a day trip, I like to have just a smaller cooler that we can just throw a few things in. So that's my preference, having a small and then a good size cooler so that you can stock up before your trips. Another supply that I would consider a must-have are these little food jars that Thermos makes. So it's like a thermos food jar. They're not very big, they hold about 2 cups or so. But what I love about these is, let's say that you made like a stir fry or something for lunch. Well, before you leave your hotel or your Airbnb in the morning, you can heat up that stir fry, let's say. You can put it in a food jar and take it with you. And then you just have it ready to go whenever you're ready to eat lunch when you're out and about sightseeing that day. So those food jars I have used so many times. They've been well worth the investment in them. So I'd recommend, you can find them at Target or Walmart, sometimes by the camping supplies. So that is a great thing to bring with on trips. And then my last kind of tool that I would recommend investing in is either a picnic basket or some kind of tote where you can just keep all of your like picnic type supplies. That way, when you're ready to go on a trip or go out of town for the weekend, you can just grab it and go. It's already packed. So some of the things that I would consider putting in there would be, probably paper plates. If you have the ability to wash dishes, you could have some of those like plastic plates. But usually I just, have paper plates and bowls, some silverware, maybe like a big serving spoon would be great to have in there if you want to like scoop out a salad or something. It's nice to have a cutting board, just a small cutting board and a good knife, so that if you want to, cut an apple or cut some cheese, it's nice to have that on hand with you. I would also throw in a couple trash bags, maybe some small Ziploc bags. That way if you open something, you can kind of stick it in a Ziploc bag to store it. Aluminum foil is kind of handy to have sometimes, I found. Wipes, so some kind of just like wet wipes so that you can clean up afterwards or wipe off a picnic table. Having a tablecloth or blanket is nice so that you can use that when you're eating. And I'm trying to think. I think those are probably the top supplies that I would recommend having in some kind of picnic basket or tote. And like I said, if you just have it in there, those supplies all the time, then all you have to do is grab it and go, and it makes it so much quicker and easier when you're getting ready to go on a trip. So those are my 4 tips. Which one do you feel like would be most helpful for you? Number 1 was to eat out only once a day when you're traveling and then bring food for the other 2 meals. Tip number 2 is to choose your lodging wisely so that you have some kind of kitchen or at least a fridge and microwave to heat up and prepare food. Number 3 was to bring ahead road trip or plan ahead and pack road trip snacks with you. And then number 4 is to invest in a few travel supplies. So what I've decided to do, when I was kind of coming up with some tips for eating healthy while traveling, I came up with a huge list. So I'm actually going to do a part 2 on this topic next week and give you a few more suggestions. And next week, I'm going to focus a little bit more on some of the things that I do before we go on vacation in order to plan and prepare food for the trip. So I'll give you some ideas on that next week. If you have any questions or if there's anything you would like to know more about when it comes to eating healthy traveling, put them in the comments, and then I will be sure to answer them next week when I go live on this topic as well. So be sure you've liked my page if you're watching this on Facebook, or subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. And that way you'll get notified when I go live next week, so you can catch part 2 of these tips on how to eat healthy when you're traveling. And if you have any further questions, like I said, feel free to put them in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. And I look forward to talking to you again next week. Bye for now.